Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. 4 more years and I'm free. Do I tell her? Advice. I've been married for 20 years and most of this time has been spent in the shadow of my wife's infidelity. About 3 years into the marriage she began a relationship with someone I considered a good friend. I used to travel a lot for work and she used these occasions to see him. We had 2 kids and she'd pay our babysitter to watch them while she was hooking up with this guy. I found out in year 4 after a mutual friend found out and told my wife she had 1 week to tell me or it would be made public. At that time she told me it was just flirting and inappropriate talk, and like a fool I believed her. The friend she had been seeing even apologized to me to my face. It all seemed too sincere to me at the time. A few months later this mutual friend of ours discovered that she didn't confess everything to me, so she was threatened again, and this time she admitted to a physical relationship. I tried getting details from her but quickly realized that she was incapable of being honest with me, and I decided to seek advice on divorce. During this time our house was a war zone. I could see what it was doing to the kids, and my oldest, 3 at this time, could sense that my wife had done something that hurt me. I could also see that the anger between my wife and I was hurting my daughter in ways that might be permanent if I don't stop. One morning, while sitting alone and grieving over the situation, I turned on the TV for some distraction. Kelly Clarkson's video of Because of You came on and it just broke my heart for my kids. I am determined to be there for them no matter what. For good or bad, that's what I've done. Within a couple months I had severed all feelings for my wife, and this allowed me to stay in her presence and raise our kids. We even had another child a couple years later. I don't regret one moment of the time I've had with our kids. They are my life, my joy, my reason for existing. During the years since her first affair was revealed, I've checked in on her communication with her others. I work in a very high-tech field which has exposed me to tools and methods that have made keeping a digital eye on her easy. Here's some of the things I've dealt with over the years. She had 3 guys going online at one time for about a year. They had very explicit conversations and she'd make up stories to gain the sympathy of each of them. She confided to another man to have been with a total of 8 men besides me by the time she confessed to her first affair. My kids have told me about men she's taken them along to meet with and hang out in public. She told me she met one of these guys at a coffee shop to supposedly let him borrow her computer. An examination of the activity on her computer showed that she had watched porn during this time, and I'm sure they weren't at a coffee shop. I've had wives of men contact me on social media to warn me. One even provided chat logs and pictures of a phone bill showing how many times they call each other. I had a business acquaintance tell me he heard a guy in his business bragging about the married woman he had been hooking up with. He overheard him say her first name and described her, and he knew it was my wife. This hurt me a lot, even after I started to go cold. I am so broken and cold now that the last time an upset wife contacted me to present evidence of an inappropriate relationship, it only got me mildly upset because I'm just so over this. My anger and response to my wife was about on the level I might express to a Burger King employee if they gave me a medium drink rather than a large one. I don't raise my voice anymore, I don't demand she explain, she's guilty of so much and isn't going to tell the truth, I just tell her I'm disappointed. Over the years she's said she wants to repair the mess she's made but has never made more than a 48-hour attempt at change. She even took me on vacation to my favorite place for our 20-year anniversary, but this isn't enough to erase the past or future transgressions. I'm waiting until our youngest is on his own, which will likely happen in about 4 years. When he's settled into his own life, I am filing for divorce. My wife is a competitive and motivated achiever. She works a few jobs and her income is about 10% more than mine, so I'm sure it will be easy to split things down the middle with no alimony. Selling our house will give each of us enough to buy a smaller house more suited to our needs as single with no kids. I know what a pos my wife is. I get regular STD tests. I know I chose to live in misery so my kids will have their dad to put them to bed and make them breakfast. I don't regret this decision and would do it again. The only thing I'm unsure of is if I should tell my wife that I'll be divorcing her in a few years. Does she even need to know at this point? Will this just make things worse? TLDR, I'm divorcing my cheating wife just as soon as our youngest kid is on his own. I wouldn't tell her shit. Does she tell you when she's gonna cheat? Of course not. I'd blindside her when the time comes. You don't owe her a heads up at all, you owe her nothing. I couldn't wait like you are, but I respect a man with a plan. You've got 4 years to put an exit plan in motion, so be smart about it. Protect your assets and yourself. First of all, did you get a DNA test for the kids? You say your wife has been having all these affairs since day one. I wouldn't say anything about divorce until you've got everything lined up and have all the evidence over the years in order. Talk to an attorney. That way you'll have all your bases covered. Be sure to get that DNA test ASAP. Highlight, talk to an attorney, and get those DNA tests ASAP. This far he's come with the kids, at this point they're my own no matter what. Nothing is ruining that for me. Touchy subject, that DNA test. If the son is not his kid, WHO stands the most by being hurt? The sleazy wife, the hurt hubby, or the son who is innocent? It will cause irreparable harm to the son. I don't advise it. Sees him as his own as son sees him as dad. Finding out my kids were not mine would absolutely kill me. I couldn't do it. Do it if you can handle the fallout for you and the kids. I'm not sure I could. Are you still working on divorcing your wife? Dude, at this point she's not going to give a shit that you're leaving. She's got everything she wants. Your kids are grown. She has men on the side. She makes more money than you. There's no respect for either of you in the relationship, so there's no need for her to keep you around. If you tell her your plan, don't be surprised if she asks you to go now. Yeah, at this point, this is nothing but a one-sided open marriage. Op's wife is living her dream, she has got nothing to lose. You should have kicked her out 20 years ago. I feel so sorry for the kids, growing up in this absolutely toxic house. Notice how I didn't say home. The psychological damage that was inflicted upon them is gonna resonate throughout their lives for decades to come, in every relationship they build or run away from. Parents can be so cruel in their willful ignorance, they think the kids are stupid and can't see. Kids see everything. Even things you're in too deep to realize. Good comments, could not agree more. Yeah. Staying for the kids is often an excuse for not being able to deal with confrontation and change, and really has nothing to do with the kids. But then again, those are also often the reasons why a serial cheater will pick the BS in the first place. Couple minor points: self-imposed martyrdom is not a good look and won't merit the legacy you're hoping for. You've taught your kids that marriage equals misery. They have witnessed and felt your disgust and disappointment all along. I guarantee you don't hide it as well as you think you do, and you're laying it all on them, as in, it's their fault. Stop. Drop. And roll, dude. This is why I despise the won't somebody think about the children mentality. Dude just told us he gave up 20 years of his life and it's all his kid's fault. I worry about what she has taught them. DNA test those kids. Stop waiting for your life to start. Your kid is what? 14? He is old enough to decide where he wants to live. See a lawyer and get some expert advice on the law where you live. It would be much better for you to use the next 5 years to recover your losses. If your wife doesn't work, she needs to cut down or eliminate alimony. Again, expert advice on how to mitigate your losses. Don't tell her anything. Just have her served. Your poor children. They've suffered the most. Now they will likely have their own poor relationships due to the terrible example you set and because they aren't aware of what a functionally happy relationship looks like. You should put some thought into how you're going to avoid the conclusion that you've been lying to your kids for most of their lives and essentially gaslighting them. Here's the problem: one of the most evil things your wife did is make you live a lie. Live in a false world she constructed where you thought things were one way, faithful marriage, and actually it was something else entirely, a deception. Now consider what your kids will feel when they look back on their entire childhood knowing that the good times they had were all fake. That their father, who they love, was absolutely miserable. This is not just an academic problem. There are people on this very sub who can tell you from first-hand experience how devastating this is. It really did a number on them. You have 4 years to come up with an answer to this. And it better be a perfect answer because your kids' entire childhood happiness is on the line. Please, do not do to your kids what your wife did to you, and suck the happiness out of their lives. I'm not sure I know the best answer to this. Maybe there is no good answer but a least terrible answer. But I do know the worst answer is to go blindly marching into this without a plan to deal with it. If you truly value your kids, consider getting IC for yourself and working through a plan to deal with the reveal. Please, as others have said, don't tell your wife a damn thing. I know I chose to live in misery so my kids will have their dad to put them to bed and make them breakfast. Dad could have done that with joint custody or even full custody. Sounds like your wife doesn't care about them, either. I'm so glad my parents divorced and I didn't grow up in that embarrassing situation. I was humiliated by my dad's cheating, and a lot of people from my school knew about it, too. I knew he made my mother miserable, and I knew how little she thought of herself to stay. It taught me that relationships are a lie and that respect isn't a part of them. It did permanent damage to grow up in that scenario and probably contributed to my own inability to get out of unhealthy relationships throughout the years. I learned they're normal. I still had both of my parents to tuck me in, to be there for me, to grow up. My dad ended up having another household and so did my mom. It was better than them being together. So if you're staying those last 4 years because of the kids, maybe consider that they'd be a lot happier being out of a marriage that's unhealthy, loveless, and in some ways dangerous. I can't believe a human being would care so little about their life that they would stay in a situation that children actually would be thrilled to also be out of. I gained so much respect for my mom when the divorce was finalized, and I viewed my dad as just plain single. It was a lot less embarrassing. When the initial cheating came out and my mother said she stayed for me, I was furious. Don't blame me for the freak show. That was all you. The idea that children are responsible for adult decisions, I've heard it time and again, and how nice to find out after they move out. Yeah, I wasted 20 years of my life for you. No thanks. I didn't lose either parent in the divorce. They were both there, and 2 stable households without embarrassing cheating and lies is way better than one unhealthy, wrong one. Divorce her ass now. Your youngest kid is 14, old enough to handle a divorce. She's a toxic mess, purge her from your life. 4 years from now you're going to wish you divorced her in 2021. 4 years from now you're so gonna wish you divorced her 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Hell, never met the toxic wrecking ball. This is infuriating. I am so sad for your children that you created this fantasy world in your mind where this doesn't impact them and they are growing up thinking their family is happy and healthy. News flash. That's not happening. Your kids are going to resent you for staying in a toxic marriage for their sake. They will grow up feeling guilty and angry. Take it from someone who knows what it's like to be on that side of things. I'm so sad for your kids. Start them in therapy now, please. I wish every single day that my parents got divorced rather than stay together out of some misguided idea that I needed that from them. They could also grow up to find shitty partners, because that's all they've ever known. True love? Nah, I'll just stay with this wife beater because once you marry, you've got to make it work. My wife gave me herpes? Well, that's just normal, all wives cheat. Does my marriage make me miserable? So what, that's life, this is normal. You are traumatizing your children without realizing it. They have no role models in their lives to teach them what a healthy, loving and happy relationship is. You're dooming them to repeat your mistakes, dude. Precisely. Making the decision to leave hurts a person and will definitely hurt a child in that moment, but overall it shows them that leaving a hurtful partner is helpful. I'm in therapy 15 years later, still working to figure out why my parents were more worried about breaking up than my actual mental health. Every day Op wakes up and says today I won't leave her so my children aren't hurt, but after years of this it is so goddamn damaging. There is no way for a kid to grow up and not hate this situation. I'm nauseous thinking about it. This guy is a shit parent. They could just as easily grow up to be cheaters because cheating in marriage is normal, and after all my dad didn't do anything, why should my husband or wife? Yes, absolutely. Dude, reading this just pisses me off. Your wife is a complete puss who deserves nothing in this world, but at the same time I'm disappointed in you, Op. I know you said you stayed with your wife for the kids, but did it ever cross your mind how that might affect your kids? Living with parents that don't love each other and knowing that one is constantly having affairs? You know what that does to them mentally? It seriously messed up their view on marriage and relationships in general. Take it from me, whose parents never showed affection to each other while growing up and them practically living as roommates essentially. It messed up my view on everything when it comes to romantic relationships. I'm happy that you love your children very much, but I believe you staying with your wife did more damage than you think. I would consider talking to your kids to see how they feel about everything that's happened up to this point. I also believe you should just get a divorce now. Not in 4 years when your youngest is on their own. Now. Cause this whole situation sounds like a shit show. You wasted your life, and hurt your children, for a song? This is why you leave immediately. At this point, what does it matter if you tell her you're divorcing? Why not divorce now? You won't leave, you are a coward and your wife knows it. It's disgusting that your wife has taken them to meet some of the men and you did nothing. You are responsible for how they are going to turn out. You did them no good by staying. I hope this is made up because it makes me sick to think of those kids in that house. Pathetic. Truly pathetic. You don't have balls anymore, dude. I am sure you don't even have the courage to divorce. 2 more child after the first affair. You are literally a doormat. Also give me a reason as to why you don't have girls on your side. Girls? More doormat. Probably raising some other guy's kids. DNA test? You demonstrated to your children very poor relationship skills. You would have been better off divorcing and co-parenting. Your youngest is 14. You should divorce her now. His guy ain't going anywhere. Once the kids all move out, she can just bring the dudes to their house. Women cheat on guys that act like this. It is suspicious. Who's going to put up with this behavior for that long when you can be much happier alone or with a woman who really loves you? I'd rather have my dignity than live like this, but to each his own. Bro, I can understand that you feel that you have to do this for the kids. But that is a lie you are telling yourself. You need to admit that you are scared to leave her for some reason. No one should stand to be treated the way you described. You can and should document everything, get it to your lawyer, file for full custody, get that babysitter statement, and divorce her. My God, cannot see all the harm to your children she is causing? Can you really, I mean really, not see the troubled future you are going to give these kids by making this last longer? I can say much more, just get it done and do it now. Good luck and holler if you need someone to talk to. Man, I doubt you are going to like my post, but I don't know how you could think staying with her has helped your kids. Why didn't you just try to get custody? Given your wife's lifestyle, she probably would have welcomed it. I would be afraid this has probably done lifelong damage. I mean, think of the example both of you set for them. You say you don't regret it, but in the coming years as you start to have adult relationships and get married, you might. Frankly, you should divorce her tomorrow just to show them what consequences look like, so they are not willing to mirror the same type of dynamic in their relationships one day, or worse, follow the pattern of your wife. What you have taught them is there are no consequences for ongoing cheating, and allowed your wife to normalize her lifestyle. You seem very damaged yourself. You really should get some counseling to figure why you're really willing and able to put up with all this. Again, I am sorry this post is harsh, but my God, man. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.